Inspiration is just a story away.
Welcome to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie. I'm your host, Dr. Shellie Hipsky. All of our guests have conquered obstacles, risen above adversity, and have gone on to help others. Today's show focuses on homelessness. Our guest has spoken to more than 100,000 students around the country. He and I have done work together in a local shelter for the Homeless Children's Education Fund. But what makes Roy Juarez Jr. such an expert on homelessness? Well, take a look at this.
I remember being homeless. It's a hidden minority because you don't want people to know that you're not like them. That you can't wear the clothes that they wear. You're not the same. See, I wasn't just homeless, but I had a 9-year-old sister and a 2-year-old brother that were homeless with me. So that drew away a lot from my life. I dropped out of school and gave up on myself.
Wow, so you gave up at some point. Can you talk to us about this? What was it like growing up homeless?
Well, it wasn't easy, obviously, but I will have to say that I was a young person, so you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. I knew life was hard, but I had nothing else to compare it to. It was more of a, I had to survive. And I think the hardest part of the homelessness was keeping my dreams alive. Yeah, that would have to be the hardest part.
Okay, so you said you were with your baby brother and your baby sister. Talk to us about that.
The fighting in my family had been there since birth, but it got really bad about 12 years old. And my dad, he was promiscuous, cheated on my mother quite a bit, and took a lot of anger out that he had against the world on my mom herself. So it was a very violent situation. And at the age of 14 was when I actually first became homeless. Wow. And then eventually with my 9-year-old sister and my 2-year-old brother, due to this violence, we had to go into hiding. We were hiding from my dad. And every time he would find us, we would pack up that night and move on to another place until eventually our family just broke apart.
Let's just take a peek at a picture of you when you were a little boy. What comes to your mind when you see that little guy?
Dreams, vision, admiration for my parents. Yeah. I remember during that time, I remember one time in particular being at the park with my family, playing and running around with my dad. You know, this man that in years to come, because of his own illnesses, whatever those demons were in his life, were going to cause him to lose his family.
Okay, let's take a picture of you when you were a senior in high school with your adopted family. What comes to your mind there? Oh,
my baby brother, so innocent. He was he's an amazing young man, still to this day. But I remember him just having such vision as a kid. He was able to fantasize and create things. I remember one day he came out of the room that we were staying in, and he had these boxes, and he had made like a little soldier suit and had guns and came out running, and he had created this all in his mind. And I always encourage him to use that creativity. Yeah. I will say this though, in my own dealing with my issues as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, and the being abandoned, being homeless, not feeling loved, I did take out some of that on him as well. Really? And so he remembers those memories. And those memories of me hitting him or you know, spanking him because I didn't know how to deal with my own issues.
But you were a 14-year-old kid
I know,
put in the position of a parent.
But it still hurts. And, and I can apologize to my baby brother every day. And so the other day we were talking, and I was with baby Ray was with me, and I was out speaking to students, and one student said, "What do you remember?" And he said, "Oh, I remember this one time that my brother hit me." Wow. And wow.
Oh my God.
You know, and I said, you know, Ray, I was wrong. Yeah. You know, and to be able to know that even the little actions that we do can have such a profound effect on our family members. And again, yeah, you're right. I didn't know any different.
You did. You were put in an impossible situation.
It was a hard situation.
Be with those two young children and be in charge.
But that's another part of the big message, and I think that this is where we share a lot of passion, is that we can choose to remain in that situation, or we can allow that situation to make us better people.
Amen.
And that's what's inspiring.
That is so inspiring. Absolutely. So, yeah. And your whole message has has really affected me, particularly in the area of forgiveness. We only have about a minute to go to break, but just when we wrote that chapter for the Ordinary People, Extraordinary Planet, and I wrote it completely wrong. I was like, this is, I gave it to you, and I thought, this has to be where he's feeling.
Right.
But for you, it was too angry, and you were already in that place of forgiveness.
Yes. My mom's a beautiful person. She made bad choices, but she made the choices in the broken state that she was.
Yeah.
And I can't blame her for that. She gave me the best that she could. And she's a wonderful woman, and I love her. I love her for that.
Beautiful. In just a moment, you'll meet a wonderful woman who's been a mentor to Roy. You'll hear how just sneaking into a hotel room to scavenger for a bite to eat changed the course of Roy's life. You don't want to miss this story. Hi, this is Dr. Shellie Hipsky reporting on location for What's Inspiring You. And today I'm here with Kashmir Gore. One of the things I'm so excited about is that he's a Robert Morris University student where I teach, but he's also the Governmental Affairs Associate for Mayor Luke Ravenstahl in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So welcome.
How are you doing this morning?
It's great to see you as well. Thank you for doing this. What I'd like to ask you is what's inspiring you?
What really inspires me in one word is struggle. If anyone that has ever had to struggle understands what it means to have nothing or come from something that was not what you wanted to be at, then you understand that that's what is a greater motivation to get to where you want to go. So that's where what really inspires me. My grandmother always taught me the simple phrase of "this too shall pass," and that is the greatest saying that you can ever have whenever you're going through something that's traumatic or turmoil, and even something that you just aren't comfortable with and happy with, and understanding that it always gets better if you survive through it. So, struggle.
Thank you so much for that word of advice and the little inspiring tip from Kashmir Gore in the mayor's office. Thank you. Remember, we want to know what's inspiring you, so be sure to go to inspiringlivesinternational.com and tell us your story. We've been talking today with Roy Juarez Jr. about his life as a homeless teenager. Joining us now is a wonderful woman who's been a mentor to Roy. Please welcome Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kickbush. That's a mouthful for me.
Just Consuelo.
Consuelo works for me. Thank you so much.
Consuelo's good.
So for me, this is the heart of the story. It really is, because there was this mentoring that happened because of an amazing moment in your life.
Right.
And could you tell us about that?
I was actually living in Dallas, and the family I was living with had said, you know, Roy, it's time for you to go. And like I always did, I packed up my bags and went on the street. Well, the first two thoughts that came to my mind was, where am I going to find a safe place to eat? I mean, excuse me, safe place to sleep, and where am I going to find food to eat?
Yes.
And I snuck into a hotel thinking they have to have food. And I remember it was an Omni hotel, and I'm looking around, and I see this line of women. That was the early 90s, so late 90s, excuse me. So it was women filled with like blue eyeshadow and big old and I could just smell the food coming from that room. So as they walked in, I didn't know it was the Federal Employed Women's Conference, so it was a room from 2,000 women. I snuck in, and I sat in the very far back corner of the room, and just hoping that I was going to get this meal. That was the actual emotional meal that I needed that day. I sat there eating, and this lady comes out, and she starts speaking about her life. And I'll be honest, at first I didn't really care about what she had to say, but I started to listen to it. And her story was my story, and all the things that she was able to accomplish, of being the first woman commissioned in the state of Texas, highest ranking Latina woman in the combat support field of the U.S. Army. I thought, wow. And she said that she was able to do this because her father taught her to ask, when people told her no, why not me?
Yeah.
Why not me? And I thought to myself, well, why not me? Why can't I do it?
I love it. So you saw this young man that day, and what did you see inside him?
Well, the truth is, I didn't really get to see him.
Okay.
He tells the story of how there were so many people between us at the end. He just remembered the words. It was not until a later visit in the Circle of Life that I was lecturing at a community college where Roy was struggling to get through school because he still had to deal with a lot of his demons and stuff, like we all do. And that's when I got to meet him, and when he introduced me as this woman who had saved his life or changed his life, and I mean, and you're about to speak. I mean, that got really, it really got like, okay, I have nothing to say. You know, too busy crying here. But I realized when I did see him at that moment, Shellie, I saw the brokenness I see in humanity, and I saw the fragileness of humanity as well. And I saw hope. I saw a young man at the time that was trying so hard to get to this other side, not knowing what that other side was, just wishing it and wanting it. And the message today is, it does get better. As Roy says it so eloquently, you can stay bitter, or you can get better.
I love it.
I mean, those are his beautiful words, and I just saw all of that wrapped up in one, and it was my responsibility, and I believe that all viewers today, as you have done so eloquently yourself, and we commend you for that, and we love you for that, your sense of giving, that the challenge today is, you don't have to have all the time and all the money and all the power.
That's right.
You just if you want to help out, sometimes the best medicine is just to simply be present and to smile.
Absolutely.
And then if you happen to have that gift of time and wisdom, which we all have, then what a better way to live in life is to pass that on to others. And in my privilege was, and my blessing was, to help Roy in his journey.
That's awesome. And I know that you went on to college.
I did.
And how did you determine?
Well, it was kind of determined for me. I reported to work, as I normally did, and she says, Mijo, I need to talk to you. So we sit down much like we are today.
Yeah, right.
And she says, I want to let you know that I'm going to let you go. I was like, why? What did I do? I mean, don't get me wrong, I did a lot to be, she had a lot of patience with me. But she says, you need to go to college.
Yeah.
She goes, you need to be educated. And she goes, where do you want to go to school? And I was a little upset, and I was like, well, I don't know. I said, I'm fired, I don't know. Well, where'd you go to school? And she said, I went to Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas. And I said, well, that's where I want to go.
There you
and
go.
she says,
Follow
I,
your
mijo. She says, no, they're still in recovery from me.
They're not quite, they haven't been.
It was a private Baptist university,
Yeah,
so she's
it's
like,
like,
I don't know if they're ready for you.
They're still in therapy over money.
And I said, I want to.
Great
She was
school.
such an inspiration in my life that I just wanted to follow in her footsteps. And I said, no, that's where I want to go. So her husband packed everything up, and he drove me to the university and sat in on my parent student dinner, and I'm glad he went, because when I got there, they were like, oh, well, you owe us X amount of money. And I was like, and I look at him, and he says, you're going to owe me. Pulls out his checkbook
Oh my God.
Yes.
and writes the check for me to get into school.
Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that
Yes.
part. That's awesome. We're such good friends. I feel like I know the whole story. Like, I can tell the whole thing right now.
Yes.
So for the children of America right now and around the world, because we're globally streaming now, what tips can you give about helping them find their mission? We only have a little while before break, but I want to know what your thoughts are.
I think the very first step is to listen.
Yes.
I think a lot of the discovery of what our potential is to listen to our hearts,
Yeah.
and then listen to the hearts of others. I think for me, I could teach him to fish. I could give him a fish, i.e. feeding him,
Yes.
but then he had to learn to fish.
Yes.
And so that to me is one of the big aha moments. Was I could ensure for the short term
Yes.
that he would be okay, but what would he do with the rest of his life? And the key part was he had to learn for himself. And I think that's where the struggle was for us,
Right.
is he felt because he had been abandoned and pushed out, I was just the next person in the
And I was
chain.
waiting for her to say, I'm done with you.
Right.
Because it had
that was a
happened.
pattern.
It had happened
Yeah.
so many times, from my parents to my grandparents to the different homes it took me in. She was just another person who said, "I love you," but to me it wasn't true, because no one loved me, until she stuck it out.
You see why I do my hair now every 6 weeks?
She blames me for having to dye her hair.
So she's really become more than a mentor,
Right.
like a mother
Yeah,
figure
she's
in your life.
definitely a second mother to me. And not to remove my mother's role,
Absolutely
No,
you
not
know,
at
because
all.
she's a wonderful,
She's a beautiful
wonderful
person.
woman. Very strong, because she could have checked out and taken her life any moment.
That's right.
But she stayed.
It's amazing.
She fought to stay, and thank God she did, because I have a mom today.
And she's a lovely lady, and I think the beauty about Roy in the gifts that he's given me, I think in any mentorship relationship, there's a lot of a duality to the relationship. I think that sometimes we, being educated or whatever we think we are, we say, okay, we're here to save. We get saved too.
Yes.
And what I've learned from Roy are so many beautiful qualities he has. His love for life, his humor, and his ability to transcend from his past.
Yeah.
Not just heal himself through forgiveness, but bring this very fractured family. He's very close to his family now. He adores his mother, adores his brothers, his siblings. They now sit together. They now have a family life. He's even found peace with his father, connected that, wrote again. And now he's gone out even further than that and has toured the country and helped so many children, so many, many, many families. That just, in the circle of life, he truly is an angel on earth. Really is. He
Oh my
truly
gosh,
is.
and so are you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So for more on effective mentoring relationships, be sure to check out my co-authored book, Mentoring Magic, available through inspiringlivesinternational.com. Up next, another edition of Gratitude Giving, and then Roy Juarez Jr. is back with some tales from the tour, the Homeless by Choice tour, that is. Don't go away. Hello, we're back for the Gratitude Giving segment of Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie, and I'm here with our lovely Jen Hain. There are some people walking around without shoes on their feet, so can you talk to us about Souls for Souls?
Absolutely. Souls for Souls is a phenomenal organization. They are a nonprofit, and in hearing about them, I was just extremely touched, and I thought that they would be great to feature on Gratitude Giving. A little bit of history with Souls for Souls is they were founded in 2005, and actually in 2004, after the tsunami hit in Southeast Asia, is when a gentleman by the name of Wayne Elsie thought, you know, I'm called to do this. So after putting pen to paper, he basically thought of the organization Souls for Souls, where people could donate shoes for those who need it. Just for the lives that were lost, the lives that were ruined, and the materials that were lost. That is what he had come up with, and it surely has taken off since then. So they're now distributing in 127 countries. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, it's incredible. And since 2005, they've been able to donate over 17 million pairs of shoes.
Wow.
Yes, and
that's fantastic.
They're throughout the country, throughout several countries, the states, and they have numerous drop-off locations. You can also contact them on the web. You can visit them at soulsforsouls.org, and you could also find all the drop-off locations there for smaller shipments and bigger shipments.
Wonderful.
Yes, and we actually have a wonderful clip here today educating our viewers about Souls for Souls and how they can help give back.
We understand you have a choice when giving, but here are some of the unique benefits to donating to Souls for Souls. When you give the simple gift of shoes, you're protecting people from life-threatening disease and illnesses. And in many cases, with the proper shoes, children will meet requirements and will be allowed to attend school. You're helping hundreds of people through our microenterprise initiatives. Your unwanted shoes help those in developing nations with a sustainable business, a way to support themselves and their families. In times of disaster locally as well as globally, Souls for Souls can help. Your donated shoes provide support to those recovering. You're recycling. We give your unwanted shoes a second life. And Souls for Souls is 100% sustainable. No shoes we receive are ever thrown away or end up in landfills, ever. When you decide to go above and beyond by giving shoes or contributing funds, our staff is ready to help every step of the way. We can provide you with an experience like no other. Take a trip with us through our Travel for Souls program and help us give shoes to people in need. Experience firsthand the joy a pair of shoes can bring. And you could win. Look for challenges and sweepstakes throughout the year to earn an opportunity to join us on one of our trips. And remember, Souls for Souls is a 501c3 nonprofit, so all donations are tax deductible. When it's time to donate, think of Souls for Souls. We're truly changing the world, one pair at a time.
Dr. Shellie Hipsky's latest book, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Planet, is inspiring lives around the world. Find your copy at major bookstores and on Amazon.com.
And welcome back to Inspiring Lives with Dr. Shellie. We've been talking today with my friend and fellow advocate for helping the homeless, Roy Juarez Jr. Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. I'm just excited that my mentor was able to be with us. So
I'm thrilled. That was fantastic. So what we're going to look at now is An Extraordinary Evening, which is one of the galas that I've thrown for the Homeless Children's Education Fund. And so there was the billboard that was up.
That was such a great night. Oh, that was a lot of fun. There you are, like that.
Kicking my leg up. That is not the professor side of Dr. Shellie.
Oh, I am with the governor.
Absolutely.
Great pick.
Excellent. And there you are with your bag. Can you explain what the importance of the bag is?
The bag represents, because I felt like the bag was my home, which is the title of my presentation called My Bag, My Home. And that's just what I lived out of for 2.5 years. I never had a home, so everything I needed to survive was in that. Now that bag has wheels. I mean, I'm a college graduate, so I upgraded. My original bag I carried.
Excellent. And what are you doing here?
Oh, wow. Great pictures. I was addressing, this is my final presentation at the end of my Homeless by Choice tour.
Awesome.
And my real mom, my mom was able to join me on that event. That was amazing.
So I'd like to just talk briefly about one of the times that we were able to work together, volunteer together.
And raise over $10,000, over $10,000 for
Absolutely.
the children.
So with the Extraordinary Evening, we raised a lot of money for the kids in the learning centers of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Brought awareness.
Shelters. Absolutely.
That was awesome.
Definitely. So, and it was a fun night.
That was a fun night.
And then there was a time when I brought my daughter to a homeless shelter.
Yes.
And I read the books to the kids,
children,
and you did your...
I was able to speak with the parents and inspire them that they too can make it no matter what.
Absolutely. You know what really blew me away by that night was that when I tell people that I help work in homeless shelters, they always think that I'm like dishing out food to the people that are homeless, but what did we get when we got there?
we were fed.
We were fed amazing food.
Miss Sue is amazing. She's a volunteer, and she she's a great cook.
She's an incredible cook. So we were really taken care of too.
Definitely.
And I think that people don't see that necessarily when they think about the homeless.
Right.
But with you...
Well, and that's a great point that you bring up, though, because we can all do something.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be one thing in a box. There's something that we can all do. In every community, whether it be the homeless community, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think we just need to be better people, and we can change tomorrow if we just change a little of who we are today. For the better.
I love that. Absolutely. So let's just take a peek at the stats for the Homeless by Choice tour. Can you tell us about this?
So the Homeless by Choice tour came out of a dream, literally, and I decided that I would live homeless for the second time in my life after I graduated college. And I was going to just live out of my car for 6 months, drive from LA to Jacksonville, Florida, and speak for free at any high school, middle school, shelter organization. But after seeing the need, it grew to something so much more bigger than that. And I decided that I would circle the entire country. And it was on a tour that was completely free. I had no sponsors, no grants, and I was able to circle the country, reach out to over 108,000 people, over 500 presentations, and it's changed my life, and I pray that it's inspired many others.
Well, you know, I know how many people it's inspired because I've seen you do your speaking, and I've been blown away by it, moved to tears. So you're
and I'm going to do another one.
So
I'm going to do another one.
You are. That's fantastic. And maybe this time it could be sponsored, or you
I
could
hope
get grants,
so. I hope so.
So that you're not.
I am looking for sponsorships
That would be awesome.
to help me get this done. My goal has jumped up now to 200,000, and I will start January 2013 in San Diego. And I would drive all the way north and circle the country one more time.
Fantastic. Well, I'm just so proud of you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad it worked out. I mean, it was meant.
Meant to be.
It was meant.
Absolutely. Thanks to our guest today, Roy Juarez Jr., whose timeless message taught us a great deal about forgiveness. And special thanks to Roy's mentor, Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kickbush. If it wasn't for the Colonel, Roy's powerful story may have turned out very differently. Remember to follow Roy on Facebook, I know I do, and support him as he gears up for the next Homeless by Choice tour in 2013. Until next time, I'm Dr. Shellie Hipsky, and remember, inspiration is just a story away.
Life is filled with struggles. Life can be filled with pain. Sometimes you need a little help to get back on your feet again. The help you need sometimes comes from an unlikely source. A helping hand to understand and get you back on course. The love you give comes back